This is the film trailer for X-Men Days of Future Past. The film falls into the action genre and it's the most recent of the whole trilogy of films of X-Men. From the beginning of the trailer, it's not that clear that it's an action movie. I'll show you now.
Professor? You're gonna find this hard to believe. I was sent here for you. From the future? 50 years from now. Can you give me that?
So the music isn't that actiony, it's more calm and tranquil kind of thing. You can hear like the man's deep voice, which kind of shows that it's a man's film. But then when he says that he's from the future, from 50 years in the future, you kind of get a idea of that it's kind of maybe an action or a fantasy film, or even adventure. So that's a sign of action or fantasy film genre.
One more time, please. Stay with me. In the beginning, the Sentinels were just targeting mutants. And they began...
Yeah, from that part of the trailer you can tell that it's an action or a fantasy from the floating pieces of rock. That doesn't happen in real life.
targeting everyone. I've come along.
And again, you don't get robots in real life shooting people, so that's another sign that the film's fantasy or action.
Why? To guide us, to bring us together. The X-Men. We need your help.
Tell whoever it was that sent you that I'm busy.
The person who sent me.
They use quite a lot of close-ups of the characters' faces, which show the facial expressions and some emotion. Because if a random guy come up to you and asks for your help, and he's from the future, you're going to be a bit confused and freaked out a bit, maybe.
It's you. It's going to take all of us.
And this is where the music gets more upbeat and like more fast, and it makes you a bit more interested because it's moving on, like getting faster and more into the story. And we kind of know the storyline by now because the man says he's from the future and he needs people's help, so that kind of gives you signs that something bad's about to happen and he needs help.
To end this war. You're a beast? I don't know what you're talking about. You're pretty strong for a scrawny kid.
I said you need to leave.
You and I are going to be good friends. You just don't know it yet. We're going to need Mystique.
And again, there's a lot of violence. Well, a bit of violence in a few of the scenes, which is also a sign of action. There's also a lot of mid shots and long shots, which show what the characters are doing, and it doesn't just show like close up of their face. It shows you exactly what their body's doing and how their reaction is to what the guy's saying about coming from the future.
Why?
You're cold-hearted.
Well, don't hold back.
Where's Magneto?
That man is a monster. He's being held 100 floors beneath the most heavily guarded building on the planet.
I know a guy.
Yeah, so this part of the trailer, you know there's going to be a problem with getting one of the main characters that they need to fight. So it kind of makes you want to watch the film more to see how they're going to get the guy out of the prison, which is also a sign of action.
You be a young man now.
He's fascinating. He's a pain in the ass.
Prison break? That's illegal, you know. Only if you get caught.
And as you can see, there's a lot of special effects used because you can't really get someone to run across a wall in slow motion in real life without using any effects. So yeah, that's also a sign of fantasy and action and adventure, maybe.
Charles.
Good to see you too, old friend.
This is gonna be fun.
There is a new...
Again, another special effect is used when the man's floating in the air using a long shot, which you can see all of his body like off the floor, and he's lifting up the whole stadium, which shows that he's one of the most powerful characters in the film. So it kind of gives you insight to who he is and what the film's about.
New enemy out there. You'll need a new weapon for this war.
Everything that happens now.
We kind of know from the trailer that the characters that they need to fight are fighting against robots and some kind of mutants, and they're actually mutants themselves. Like, you don't get blue beasts in real life, but I like that because that's just doesn't happen.
Is in your hands.
And the music's getting a lot louder and more upbeat as the trailer goes on, which it gets you like off your seat a bit and makes you want to like look further into the film and maybe go and see it at the cinema.
In the future.
You can also tell that how the signs of the genre are fit into the like storyline, because you wouldn't really get like blood and horror and stuff in an action film, because then it would be a horror. Like, you wouldn't get blood and like knives and people dying like gruesome and things like that, because that's a horror. So the action in this film is shown by like loud noises and guns and explosions, and also there's also a bit of fantasy in it, I think. So that's shown by like the futuristic take on it, like the robots and the special powers that the characters have.
Make it? No.
Okay, so throughout the film, throughout the trailer, the narrative is kind of hidden. You're not sure where the storyline's going to go. But in the end, the X-Men, the main characters, they defeat the robots, and it's a open narrative, so anything could happen. Like, there could be another film after showing what happens after the war's finished. But if it was like, if the robots won and took over the world, then that would definitely be a closed narrative. So that's the difference between open and a closed. So we definitely know it's an open narrative from the trailer and the film.